All right, all. Hey, this is Andy from Tennis with Andy. So, about 2 weeks ago, maybe it's 2 weeks, I was playing my buddy Mark. Um, Before we played, we are doing some practice serves, and he was like, "Andy, you need to fix this on your serve." Like, I hit a bunch of balls in the net, and one thing that's good to note in playing tennis is when to take advice and get advice from right people. So Mark gave some really, really good advice, and for me, simplicity is the key. And I know, like I've watched myself play a million times. I've watched tennis all the time, and like I still make tons of mistakes. So if you try and throw too many things at me at once, it's just gonna be like overflowing. I can't digest it. But my serve and my backhand, those are two things he um, fixed then. And honestly, I played probably the second or third best set of my life a couple weeks ago. So serve, what was I doing? So my serve, I was doing this and really not extending my arm all the way out, right? And I brought it down a bit early too. So not extending the tossing arm all the way out and also bringing it down early. So my background, is to give you a credence as to why like I'm going to go into the biomechanics is I have my master's in biomechanics, PhD in bioengineering, and it all just clicked when he said, just leave your arm up, right, as long as possible, right. So that's one fix, but it fixes a chain of other things. So by the fact that I'm leaving my arm up, like when I'm loading on my serve, there's two sorts of loading that I feel like you're supposed to do. One is your rotational loading, so where you're rotating your torso sort of away from the court. You've seen this in some of the really high level serves where their back is facing the court, right? So they've rotated that much. And two is the load in of your knee or your lower extremities, and your this is what provides you stability, right, and provides you with a lot of power. So by keeping your arm up and keeping sort of everything here locked in terms of this is your fulcrum, this is your anchor, you're enabling your body to store all that potential energy, both in the rotational potential energy and then the sort of the vertical potential energy right here. And by keeping your arm locked up as long as possible, at the point when it's time to release, then you have that both your rotational energy coming through from your body, right? And then you have the potential energy from your legs coming up at the ball. So you're getting this crazy spin, crazy power, keeping this arm tucked as you're swinging forward, right? To let you rotate into the ball. So huge fix by Mark. Thank you so much. And like most fixes, like when I implemented it, like I went from doing it like 10% correct to maybe like 35% correct. But that extra 25% like really improved everything on the serve. So much thanks to Mark. And that was fix number one. Fix number two is I was noticing that I've always said that my forehand is my killer shot, right? And my backhand is what I use for stability or for consistency. But I really sometimes want to get a bit more power on the backhand. And one thing that Mark noted was like I was lifting up a bit too much, right? So I already get I get some decent spin on the backhand, and I'm able to lift the ball up. But what happens when you lift up too much is that if you think about the energy that you have stored in your legs, right, and your glutes and everything, you put in a lot of that into the spin, right, and not a lot into translational energy, right. And so, and plus, you're also not even optimizing your spin because you're releasing too soon from your energy source, which is your legs. This is ground. Now, Van Damme said one time in one of the videos that your ground is your source of energy, right, for the backhand. So really lock into that. So the simple fix was one, making sure that I'm not closing up myself, right? So like sometimes I tend to keep this foot pointed to the side when I should keep it either at an angle or pointed forward, right? And then really load up on this front leg. So transfer my body weight from back to forward and just load up. So stay on here as long as I can throughout the shot. Once I finish a shot, then obviously you could recover with the off leg. But that simple fix really helped me a lot. And I've been doing exercises too to help like reinforce this. So I've been doing different sorts of squats where you're squatting down and just loading right here, right? Work on being able to maintain your stroke throughout this, right? So really, really good fix, really big fix. It helps with the short ball as well. Because oftentimes, especially on my forehand, but I'll talk about backhand right now. Like when you get a short ball, you're like, oh, if it's short in the ball, I really need to hop and get it over the net, right? I mean, you could do that, and it's possible. I see a lot of folks pros do that as well, but I find like sometimes when you're focusing too much on the lift, that you're going without the ball. So if you're trying to lift it up, you might just dump it in the net, right? So what I found has been helpful both on forehand and backhand is really focus on staying grounded. So with the backhand, I'm gonna load on this front leg and then stay grounded all the way through the shot, right? Put enough lift and top spin so that it gets over, right? But not an enormous. I mean, you really don't need that much top spin. Just enough so it gets over, and depends what I'm trying to do. If I'm trying to roll across court, like I kind of make sure I might use my hands a little bit at the end. But if I'm trying to really drive the ball, then just focus on driving through, keeping this leg nice and engaged, this front leg nice and engaged, right? So those are two fixes. I'm going to try and show the match or the set we played sometime later this week. I've been doing a lot of video processing lately. So hopefully this is helpful to somebody out there. I know it's definitely helpful to me. All right, this is Andy from Tennis with Andy. Play smart and see results.